Well, good afternoon. It's the next day. My cousin called and interrupted my video last night, and I just didn't go back and finish. We had a long conversation, and we're night owls, so anyway, um, back to what I was saying about having a mandatory vaccine. See, what I know about science, and I did have 16 hours in college. Um, but I'm by no means an expert, but some of science is very logical and, it just follows steps so that when somebody comes around and says something different, I question it. Um, you know, when you have children, there I notice these mothers behind me wanting to sterilize everything. I mean, you start out, you boil the nipples off the bottles, you wipe everything down, you bring the baby home, and at first, some of that is necessary, but then you have to get into your normal routine and people come and visit, and I was one of those mothers who wanted them to, be able to sleep while the vacuum's going, there's noise. Then you have the mothers that have the signs that say, quiet, baby sleeping. Now, it also depends on the temperament of your child. But a lot of these mothers, now, one thing they could control was, the amount of dirt, and some of them were obsessed about cleanliness. And I would explain to them while they looked at me with, vacant eyes that, if you don't let your children get exposed to germs out in the environment, they are not going to build up their immune system, and it's going to end up causing problems for them more in the future, because as you get older, you don't handle things as well as you do when you're younger. I mean, when the daycare would call me and say there's, chicken pox, I'd be like, oh, good. I hope they catch it. And you know what? They never did. Mine never did. Mine were, those two were 8 and 4 before I finally got the chicken pox vaccine, because I thought if they get too much older that it's going to cause more problems for them, scarring, etc. Now, that's a vaccine. And you say, well, why'd you do that one? Well, the chickenpox does not mutate. It is what it is. Polio, it stays the same. Those type of diseases, measles, mumps, etc., they are a constant. You can develop a vaccine for something that remains a constant and doesn't mutate. Now, these viruses, these coronaviruses, the flu and the COVID-19, etc., they mutate. I never understood the flu vaccine. Never. You're trying to chase something that's continuously changing. So you take the flu vaccine, which would have worked on the one the year before, or would have worked on the one that they thought it was going to mutate into, but it didn't. And then what else is in there? The vaccines that chase the mutations of viruses that mutate make absolutely no sense, in my opinion. I don't understand. A vaccine for a disease that is a constant, meaning it does not mutate, makes absolutely good sense. I don't know when they got this idea of chasing these, and it doesn't make scientifically any good sense. And if you follow that same logic, except for those who have comorbidities and other things where, autoimmune deficiencies and things like that. But for the majority of the population, to be out and about is to develop your immune system. And those people would develop the herd immunity, and then therefore, you wouldn't have the spread of the disease anymore. People would have an immunity to it. It would die out. But the problem is that in the meantime, you have people with the autoimmune disease and the other morbidities. What do you do with them? I mean, you can't just totally keep them out of society. I don't know. That's where the difficulty lies. But you have to come up with a solution for that. But to keep this country shut down, it's not going to work. We're going to end up with more dead for different reasons. Just depression alone, losing their life savings, losing their way of life. Not everybody's built to just start over. And especially at certain stages of life. I'm pretty good at starting over, but not everybody's made up like that. I don't know. I'm just sharing my feelings, and I'm very highly disappointed at how we've let certain people with certain ways of making money off of this be in charge of what it is that we do. That is a definite conflict of interest, and I don't want anybody like that in charge of me. And the people in the government are at a disadvantage because they aren't scientists. Who do you trust? I don't know. If I was in that position, I would start learning as fast as I possibly could so I could try and tell if these people are lying to me. I don't know. It's a mess. There's too much information coming from too many different directions, but you can't stop it because everybody's got an agenda. It's just an agenda. Forget about the truth. What's to my advantage right now? It's a sick world, people. It's a sick world. But just as there is bad, there's good in this world. And we've got to pray that the good, somehow, some way, through divine intervention, have an influence to try and keep things stable or moving towards the better. Just gotta hope. So, I think that's enough for today, for right now. I'm sure I'll think of other things to talk about, but I hope all of you are doing as well as you possibly can. It looks like for most places that things are going to start opening up. We have a few governors who are a little bit out of control, but hopefully things will work their way out. I pray for everyone that they have something to come back to, or they have a way to repair their lives and do something different. And I will talk to you later. And for those of you who are at risk, stay home. Stay home and protect yourself. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.